What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast, the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus, Two Shots Dominguez, and joining me tonight, it's Chris, the stats man Gorman. Hit him with the stats, Chris.
Hey. All right, I got a stat. There have been 16 50-point games this season. 18 of them, half of them, so 8 of them have come in the last 18 days. We got Kyrie with 60, Cat with 60, KD with 53, LeBron with 50, Kyrie with 50, Tatum with 54, LeBron with 56, and then Ja with 52.
It's been a wild couple of weeks in the NBA for sure. Laying down those sweet, sweet lines. It's the lawn boss, Joey Bukowski. Get that, Joe.
Hello. I did mow my grass this week. It's cool.
You did. You mowed your dry brown grass.
It's not dry. Oh, it's dormant.
Is there a benefit to mowing your grass right now, or did you just feel like you really need to pop a load?
I was. Yes.
I
was just picking up some leaves, man, and laying those sweet stripes.
And moving on, getting us to harmonize. It is the Doughboy, Adam Bruns. How are the levels tonight, Adam?
They are. They're not dormant. They're very bouncy.
Bouncy. Oh, bouncing it. We're already off the rails. This is great. I love the show.
We're off the stripes.
We're off the stripes. That's a good way to say it. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Huge game in Philly and Brooklyn last Thursday after our show last Wednesday. We got a brand new segment for you called Make It Make Sense. Should be fun. We hope for. We're going to also update the playoff picture, our playoff power rankings, and maybe play another round of Pirtle if we have time. All right, but first off, let's go ahead and start with just a quick hitter on the Philly-Brooklyn game. Biggest game of the season, I think. Not sure if you guys agree. We'll get into it a little bit, but guys, I don't know what you guys felt. This is everything I love about basketball was on Thursday night. Guys were sniping at each other, Durant and Embiid, teams that clearly don't like each other, teams that were locked in and had a playoff feel. We're 4 or 5 weeks out from the playoffs. Kyrie took it personally against Harden and completely locked them up. Harden did exactly what Harden does in big games and big situations and disappeared. I can't believe that Philly got destroyed the way they did. It got absolutely worked. Brooklyn reminded everybody that, hey, when Kyrie and Durant are healthy, we're still a title contender, lest you forget.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, man, what did you think of that game? I know we've kind of were talking that we kind of really don't like Philly all that much, and I was happy to see Brooklyn win. What do you think, man?
Yeah, it was everything you hoped for if you're not a fan of the 76ers. It was pretty cool to see Drummond and Seth as well kind of take that on their, little chip on their shoulder in that game as well. I found it really funny when Simmons picked up the one loose ball and the whole stadium went kind of bonkers on it. But I know we're going to talk about Simmons in a little bit, but it kind of just makes you think like, man, that probably should have just stepped in, caught a pass, and then sat back down, just got the booze out of the way. But it's scary what Durant and Kyrie can do. And again, we're going to talk about this more too down the road. Yeah. But it's all going to come down to does Brooklyn, with them being in the play-in tournament, they're one game away from this whole thing slipping away, right? They're an off night from Durant away from this not being something we're going to see in a 7-game series. And hopefully that's not the case, because I think everybody wants to see that. And I think it would serve the NBA well that it does happen. But yeah, it was great to see Harden. I think he said this last week or a week before, he turtled a bit. Embiid talking trash with Durant just standing up in his face like, hey, I'm just gonna hit another jumper over you in like 30 seconds. So, do your thing. It was awesome. It was a great game. It was physical. It was fun. And I hope at some point we get to see that happen for 5 games at least.
I absolutely hope we get a series for that. Chris, before I get your thoughts, because Joey kind of summed up the general thoughts, but I had some thoughts about kind of what that win did for the Eastern Conference landscape in general, and Brooklyn and Philly. So I said I felt like it reminded everybody about Brooklyn. This may be a hot take. This may be a little bit of a rant. Joey was telling me because my rants end up being wrong. I think Philly is done. Philly is completely done in my book, and I think it was cemented for me when they ended up losing to the Nuggets a couple of nights later. And I think that's done. I think Embiid lost the MVP. I think you could write all that off because I just don't know how you come back from a 30-point loss. I think it was like 29, right, or something like that. But
yeah,
anyways, basically a 30-point loss to a team that you theoretically traded for their second or third best player, and you were supposed to be better than them, and just got absolutely worked. And the guy you traded to them isn't even playing yet. Chris, you got any general thoughts on the game, and then any kind of rebuttal to that? Do you think Philly is completely done?
Yeah,
Go ahead. You can take that.
To your last point, that's tough because Ben Simmons isn't playing, Harden's playing, and yet that's still win. Yeah. I still want to take a step back and be like, hey, it's okay.
It's one game.
The Denver game was a great game. Jokic was just playing.
He's a monster.
He was awesome out there. But really, the bench on that game was Bones Highland, DeMarcus Cousins, Bryn Forbes. Anyways, going back to the Brooklyn Philly game, lest we not forget to talk about James Johnson, former Chicago Bull, 3 for 3 from 3-point range, 5 blocks in that game. I remember him. Do you guys remember James Johnson?
I do not.
I remember when he got drafted, there were high hopes from him. I think he was drafted like 16th. Yeah, he was 16th out of Wake Forest in 2009. And I was like, yeah, James Johnson's going to do it. This guy's still in the league, and he's still putting up crazy numbers for a title contending team. And another crazy thing, Seth Curry is shooting 45% from 3. This dude shoot 44% for his career.
He was on fire.
Late on the Seth Curry and efficiency rate late. I didn't realize it was this crazy good, but man, that's why I like. Yeah, again, Ben Simmons is cool, but Seth Curry, man, that's the guy.
That was the piece of the trade.
That's the piece. I don't know.
So far, yeah.
I don't want to over.
You don't want to overrate. You don't want to do what I did. I said,
I don't want to pull a Titus.
Philly's done. Mark it down now. This is my bold pick for this. Philly's done. They're not even making
whatever. We got to do a jersey. But if we do ever do a jersey bet, you're definitely getting a James Harden Philly jersey.
Oh my god, that would be terrible. I would hate.
Tyrese Maxey had one of the worst games of his season, being only 4 points, and typically that guy averages 17. So I don't know. It's one game, in a best of 7 series, you would expect Philly to bounce back the next night. If they did, then I would get concerned. But it's one game. I'm not. I think it was important for Brooklyn to show that, hey, we're still here, we're still alive, we're still looking to get some out of the season. And I agree. I think it did hurt Embiid's MVP chances, that and then losing to Jokic 2 nights later. So yeah, that
might be where I'm stepping a little too far out by saying he lost the MVP that night and they lost any hope of making the finals. I just think I just mentally, I don't know how you shake off that defeat. And I think the first sign of Harden disappearing in the playoffs, that crowd's going to turn on him and it's going to get bad.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that's enough on that game, even though it was probably the biggest game of the season so far. We can move on to our questions and moving into our first question. So this is a new segment we're going to do called Make It Make Sense. So the Eastern Conference feels wide open right now. Our first question is there a favorite in the Eastern Conference? And we want to do is make it make sense for 3 different teams in the East that should be the favorite. Let's go to you, Joey. You think that we're going to give you the Bucks and say, make it make sense that they're the favorite, even though they're not the number 1 seed, even though the Nets and Philly, are still looming. Miami's been the number 1. Why should it be the Bucks as the favorite in the Eastern Conference?
I would like the record to show that I tried to take the Bulls and I was blocked.
You were blocked hard by me.
I was blocked by the host of our esteemed host, but
I'm sorry.
I land with the next BU team, and that's the Bucks. All right. Let's see if I can do this here. Let's go. So since the All-Star break, the Bucks are 7-2. In those games, they beat Miami, Chicago, and Phoenix. Those were 3 games in a row that they won. They beat Atlanta, whatever, and then they also beat Utah. They are plus 67 in these 9 games. and are averaging 124 points per game.
Holy crap.
So pretty good
lot
little
of
clip
points.
there. It's a lot of points. Looking at Giannis specifically, he is on a tear. Over this 9-game stretch, 31 points per game, 13 rebounds per game, 5 assists, shooting 49% from the floor. Free throw percent is 72%. And the most interesting thing I found on him was he's made more free throws than field goals in this 9-game stretch. He's made 87 free throws and 82 field goals.
Getting to a line like
That's kind of
Embiid.
frustrating. Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating.
Really?
And, when the playoffs get going, we saw him last year figure out the free throw game, and it kind of stoked them to the championship. So, they're on a tear right now, and, everybody I think is not sleeping on Giannis, but they're getting distracted by the Embiid and Jokic kind of race there, and Giannis is not far behind. And I still think that his game, there's nobody in the East defense wise that can match up with Giannis directly. There are people that can compare, right? Embiid can kind of do it, but at the end of the day, you're going to pick Giannis over Embiid if that's the matchup that you're going to get. Embiid hasn't proved it yet, and I think Giannis is just a better all-around player. So for those reasons, the Bucks make sense to win the East.
Oh, I like it. I do, for the most part, I do. I can't really argue with what you're saying there. I mean, I think that they've kind of been laying low all season, and they're getting healthy. Brook Lopez has been back, and they're making their playoff push. Chris, let's go to you, man. You had a different team in mind, so make it make sense that Boston should be the Eastern Conference favorite.
Yeah, let's preface this. I got cornered in. It's
There's
fine.
no
You know what?
prefacing.
No.
Let's just, there's no
honest,
prefacing.
The more I looked into it, the more it makes sense that Boston should really be the favorite. They're still being slept on, even though in the last 33 games since the start of the new year of January 2nd, they're 24-9. They have a defensive rating 103.5, which if the next best team is Dallas, which that's another conversation, at 106.7. So 3 full defensive rating points better next team. If you look at defensive rating, a lot of teams are 106 to 109. That's where the next 8 teams land. So Boston is playing lights out defense. Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, they should make first, second team all defense, and maybe Tatum and Brown. I don't know. The whole team is just doing some things. And we talked about Tatum last week. He's really coming out of his shell and really being more consistent and just blowing it up right now. So and the trade for Derek White from the Spurs has been he's just another. He had some depth to that lineup in the backcourt that really helps. It's something that they didn't really have before, and I think that's really going to help them during this stretch run, kind of help keep this momentum going. People were saying that they were playing a lot of easy teams. They beat Memphis. They beat who else did they beat? They beat Memphis. Memphis is they beat Brooklyn in the last week. Boston really should. Defense wins championships, and Boston is the best defensive team right now. So really, Boston should probably be the favorite. I hate talking about Boston. We haven't been talking about it all season, but really at this point, they really kind of should be. I don't know.
They're definitely getting to that conversation, and they do have a legit, star or superstar in Tatum. And, your point there of how good their defense has looked over this last, 30, 40 games here. They're certainly a tough team, and I don't think any team's going to really want to play them. We could look at like the Cavs as sort of falling off. We'll get into it a little bit more about the Bulls sort of falling off a little bit here, not playing their best, where Boston is kind of rounding into form, and they definitely look a little scarier. I had a different team in mind, a team that I was happy to put into are they even going to make the first or make it out of the first round conversation last week, the Brooklyn Nets. But I'll keep this quick because we did kind of touch on them in the first part of the game. I think they reminded everybody that they're that good. I don't know why, but I think I forgot like a team of Kyrie. It was basically Kyrie and LeBron won a title, and I think Kyrie and Durant is comparable to that. Even though the pieces around them may not be perfect, it may not be great. I think those guys have enough to fill in all the gaps. Kyrie's been absolutely balling. I know there's obviously the vaccine status, so we'll touch on that too later. It's still up in the air, but yeah, I I certainly can see the Nets as being the favorite to come out of the East because of those two guys, and the pieces around them are good enough that they can make it work. So, and moving on to our second question, our second make it make sense. When does it make sense for Ben Simmons to come back? I'll go first here real quick because I'm the firstest or the closest one. I feel he should come back right away. Or not right away, but as soon as possible. I think there's 12, 13 games left for Brooklyn, but I think they need to kind of get him worked into the rotation before they get into the playoffs. And I think it would be, it'd be rough to have him start in the playoffs. But as long as he's healthy, as long as the back is right, I know that Chris, you were saying he got an epidural shot or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sounds pretty serious. I know everybody was kind of saying it might be kind of fake for him to skip the Philly game, but. If he's healthy and you can get him some reps, get him back in some bit of a game shape before you go to the finals, because they're planning, or before you get to the playoffs, because they're planning for a long run, a potential finals run. So that would be my vote. And I think it makes sense to bring him back at that point. Chris, tell us why it makes more sense to bring him back for the playoffs.
So I thought it would make sense ASAP because, I mean, going to the Philly game, it's like, why didn't he just play the Philly game? Like, it's just mental for him. Figure it out. Snap out of it. That's obviously not the way to look at it. But anyways, but then he got an epidural in his back.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of weird.
Is this guy dealing with back issues? Is there
I hope so.
like a Zion thing going on here where he's actually more injured than we realized? That we just did he get injured while practicing, while trying to learn how to shoot a jump shot with Kyle Korver? I don't know. So let's just
he's using muscles he's never used before.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Zing.
So, and they need him for the playoffs, and that's one thing. I think they need him at some point. I know Joey's gonna maybe have a different point on this, but I think they can't. No, they can probably win without him. I don't know.
But if he's back for the playoffs, it increases their chances of winning, right?
That's as simple as saying that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then if he, I think you're saying, if he is legitimately hurt, maybe it is safer to rest him, and then all right, he comes back for the playoffs when you actually need him, and he's essentially going to be a role player on this team. So, all right, cool.
Essentially,
Joey, make it make sense that he should come back next season. They should just sit him out, just shut him down, and say, all right, man, you couldn't get over the mental hurdles, you couldn't get over the physical hurdles. Let's just bring you back with a fresh start next year.
Yes. So they've obviously proven they can win without him. Durant and Irving have put on a show in the games that they have played together. Kyrie's played 19 games, I think, so far this year. The big thing for me is chemistry, right? So this team is been up and down in injuries, right? And Harden was out, got traded. Kyrie's been playing only away games. The biggest thing, though, for me is you bring Simmons in without a lot of practice, right? I think I heard today that he's been in practices, like watching, the rotations and kind of getting the game plan down, but he's not actually really practicing. So you're throwing him in there and just relying purely on skill for somebody who hasn't played in almost a full year or full season now. So he's taking away minutes from somebody who has been playing and players that have been adding to this team. You got your Seth Currys, your Patty Mills, even Dragic has been, adding to the team since he came over in the trade. So, I think they've proven they can do it without him, and there's no need to rush him back. Like you said, Titus, they're playing the long game here. Get through this season, figure it out in the summer, and have him back come October.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad argument. It's certainly something that I would consider. Like, hey, all right, man, maybe we just don't do it this year. Certainly wouldn't be a bad idea. All right, moving on to our next Make It Make Sense question. Chris's team, the mighty Minnesota Wolves, they lost to the Magic, and then it's a Wolves segment. And,
Joey asked me to, so I did.
Yeah.
This is a special request. Anytime he says Wolves, just hit it. The Wolves lost to the Magic and then beat the Heat the following night. Chris, make that make sense. How did that happen?
Yeah, this is the classic. They were just looking ahead kind of game. The night that they lost to Orlando, Joey messaged the group saying like, "Hey, what's going on here? Your team that's going to come out of the West just lost to the worst team in the East."
Shit.
And I immediately said, they're just looking ahead to Miami. The next night, they beat Miami 113-104. So I don't know. And then the next game that they played, Cat got 60. So, and maybe they were just looking ahead too much. But another thing with Orlando, Orlando's been a top 10 defensive rating team in 2022. This team is next year's They Got Some Guys team. I'm saying it now. If they sign somebody like Lauri Markkanen, like a Lauri Markkanen type, and a Jared Allen type, if they get, we'll see what they do in the draft. But there's a lot going on here. They got some pieces. Markelle Fultz is nice. Wendell Carter. Mo Bamba had the second best game of his season. It was his best game in the team that they won. It's not saying much. They've won 18 games. But he got 27 points. He was
just cooking
5 of 8 from 3. He got 12 boards, no assists, which is great. But this guy, I remember when he was drafted, he has talent. He's just not consistent at all, because then the games, 2 games before and 2 games after, he got like 8 points each game. So 27 blow up, and he's not doing anything. It was just that kind of game for Orlando. It was at Orlando. You can kind of call it a schedule loss maybe. It was the first game of a little road trip here for Minnesota. So, it's tough for the Minnesota to lose that game, but like they lost to the worst team in the East, but then they beat the best team. So that, like, NBA is fickle. We're in a weird part of the season right now. I think it makes sense for that to happen once in a while. In hindsight, if I knew this at the time, plus 8.5 on Orlando would have been nice to get that dog money, and then plus 3.5 on Minnesota the following night. Some more dog money there.
Parlay that. There's a windfall.
Right? Carry it over.
Chris's best bets, a new segment that'll be coming out. I think we need to get into that. I got to get an account.
We need to get Minnesota legal. But anyways.
We're not responsible for any lost wages.
Yeah, any lost wages. No, because you reminded me of a bet that when I heard the Pistons were a plus 13 against Miami, I was like, oh, the feisty Pistons. And then I would have taken that bet all day. But, did
they cover?
They covered, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. They've been feisty. So, all right, we'll throw it to me. This one will be a fun one. It's still a sticky situation here.
Kyrie allowed into the stadium, but not into the game. Make that make sense? It makes perfect sense if you think about it. Just get the vaccine, man, and you can play in the games. I mean, I don't know the specific rule. I just know that the rule is a private organization or something. That's why he can't specifically play in the games. I'm not sure why specifically he's allowed in the stadium on the sidelines. I know he got fined for going into the locker room because that was technically breaking the rule or the law, whatever. Again, I get it. The argument, it's kind of a weird law. It's kind of a weird rule. That might not make sense, but it makes sense that he's not allowed in the locker room if that's what the rule is, man. If that's what the rule is, you're not allowed to do it without the vaccine.
Why not change the rule?
I mean,
you wanted to take this question.
I did. You could change the rule.
Eric Holder. I think that's the mayor's name, right? In New York.
Yeah. You could change the rule, but New York's a big city, probably seeing a little more of the pandemic than some of these small towns and stuff that are really fighting against these mandates and stuff. But you got to protect the players on the court, I guess, more than the thousands of people in the stands. But if he gets the vaccine, he's on the court and he's playing, and if not, it is what it is. But we'll see what happens for the playoffs if that gets lifted. I guess I didn't make as compelling an argument there as I thought I would.
No, that was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad.
I think it makes sense because you're trying to. So Eric Holder's got a tough job. And why are we getting political? This sucks.
No, it makes sense. But it makes sense because
right,
you can't change this right now, right? It either had to happen before they repealed the rest of the mandates, or it has to happen in their normal cycle of the reduction in mandates, right? So the only mandate left in New York City is the private sector mandate. And that requires any private organization that their workers be vaccinated. It doesn't require that they have to fire them. It just means that they have to be vaccinated to show up to an office. They can work remote, do whatever. They're peeling everything back. This is the last thing that they have to peel back. And I think the optics of it would be just beyond horrible right now. You can't just be like, oh yeah, it's almost playoff time. Durant is in post-game press conferences hooting and hollering about it. Adam Silver's talking about how bad it is. The mayor is a new mayor, right? Newly elected. This is his first term. So you can't just walk up and just be like, yeah, hey guys, everybody wants Kyrie to play in Brooklyn, so we're just going to wipe this out. I'm sure there's significantly more obviously behind the science and nonsense of it, but it doesn't make sense, I think, to just be like, all of these people for 2.5 years have had to deal with this piece of it and all this, whatever.
Yeah.
And they went and got vaccinated and they got to go back to work and do whatever they did. There's this guy who has chose not to do that, and that's his choice. And, he's not being fired. He's not being, paychecks withheld, all that stuff. He still gets to do what he wants to do, just can't play at home. And to me, that's a simple thing. If you want to play tomorrow, go get your shot, and they'll let him on the floor tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, that's you eloquently made the point I think I was trying to make if I knew more about the actual rules.
Joey.
Joey was the man. We'll throw it right back to you, Joey. So the Bulls started off pretty hot, hovering around the 1-2 seed most of the first half and into the second third of the season, but now they're moving closer to the 7-8 seed, and they're really do not seem at all near the top tier of the Eastern Conference. Make that make sense, Joey.
All right, so there's been 108 days of NBA season so far since the start of the season.
Oh, we're getting deep.
The Bulls were in first place for 47 of those days.
Wow.
And in second place for 61 of those days.
Whoa.
Sorry, I got this wrong. They've been in first or second for 108 days total. 47 in first place, 61 in second place.
Okay.
77% of the season, the Bulls have been in first or second place in the Eastern Conference. The last time they were in first was February 22nd. So I'm making the point here, making it make sense that they technically should have fallen, and this is why. All right, so we're going to go through 4 main stat categories. First one, team defensive rating or team defensive efficiency. So the last time they were in first place, team defensive efficiency, they were 20th in the league. They ballooned since then to 23rd, so they're 3 spots worse. The Bucks started at 13th and have gone to 14th, so they've only gained 1 spot worse. The Heat have improved a spot from 6th to 5th, and the 76ers have improved 2 spots from 11th to 9th. So they're direct competitors around them, all improving minus the Bucks, but only dropping 1 spot. Offensive efficiency. Bulls on the 22nd of February were 3rd in team offensive efficiency. They have ballooned to 5th. The Bucks have gone from 5th to 3rd. The Heat gone from 8th to 11th, so they've actually gotten worse. And the 76ers from 15th to 12th. So Bulls second in offensive efficiency amongst that group of 4, but still slipping, right? The Bucks are taking them over there. Team points per game. So the Bulls were ranked 7th at the start of this, at 9th now. The Bucks went from 6th to 3rd, which makes sense, right? We went through their 124 points per game in the last 9 games. The Heat have stayed pretty consistent, 16th to 17th. The 76ers have been around 20, so 21st at the start and ended at 20th. And then opponent points per game. The Bulls started at 18, gone to 16, so kind of so-so. The Bucks, 16th, are now at 15th. The Heat started at 5th and are now the 4th best in the league. And the 76ers started at 7th and are now at 6th. Basically, looking through all of that, all the teams right around them have, for the most part, gotten better in their offensive and defensive categories. The Bulls have either stayed extremely stagnant or gotten worse. There's a lot of other stats that were out there where they've made some pretty big slips, but the biggest thing for them has been their defense and their defense against top teams, and those top teams being Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, Western Conference top teams. They have come out slow. They look like a team who is not ready for a playoff push right now. They look like a team who hasn't quite figured out that all that stuff that happened at the beginning of the season was all fine and dandy, but these teams that have some veterans on it, know how this works, know that right now is what matters and right now is what counts. And those are the teams that are pushing: the Bucks, the Heat, and the 76ers, even Boston, right? They have more veterans. They've been down this road before. So the Bulls are kind of in a world of their own making. Caruso has come back. His first game back, they held their opponent to under 100 points, which was the first time that happened since he went down against Milwaukee. So that was a good sight to see. But then they followed that up with a loss to Sacramento, where they were down 24 points at one point in time.
It was a rough loss.
So they've got to figure it out. They have a pretty tough schedule the rest of the season. They're a half game up on Boston right now. As Chris said earlier, they're surging and they are one of the favorites in the East. Bulls got to figure it out. They got a big game tonight against Utah. They're currently down 8, so that's not a good sign.
Put that game on.
So they got to get the energy going, and they need to get some of these categories improved, defense especially, and they need to get locked in, and they need to get physical, and they need to come out of the gate a lot stronger than they have been.
Is it just as simple as getting the guys healthy? If Lonzo Ball comes back, does our defensive efficiency increase?
It should improve.
It should improve. But I think what you're seeing is it almost seemed like as soon as he came back, everybody kind of got a little bit more energetic, but nobody else was playing defense like Caruso, right? He came back, and his first game back, he played like 30-something minutes. And I'm guessing that probably wasn't in the playbook that his first game back from his surgery, he was going to play 30 minutes. And they just needed every second from him to get up on players and play the defense that he was doing. It doesn't seem like everybody else is coming along with it. Zach's defense has slipped. After that game to Sacramento, he pretty much said, like, yeah, cool. Somebody asked him, what went wrong? And he's like, yeah, I went wrong. He's like, great. I did a great job scoring points tonight. I scored 27, but I didn't do anything else. Straight up the post-game press conference said I didn't do anything else good tonight. That's a positive sign because you haven't seen that from Zach before, but that kind of excuse isn't gonna cut it for much longer because now's the time to go. I mean, they're 4 games out of being in the play-in tournament, which means they're getting Brooklyn in the play-in.
Yeah, for a one and done to be.
That's not good. That's not good.
No, and I do kind of agree with you, and I think I didn't deep dive the stats like you did, but just kind of watching the games in the last, I would say maybe month or so since like the All-Star break. I think they've just kind of, I don't know, lost some steam, lost some energy, like you were saying. I know it's a lot has to do with Caruso and Zoe being out because those guys are really bringing the intensity defensively for sure. I feel like they've lost a lot of that identity as a defensive team. They were a really good defensive team earlier in the season. And I think the point you were making is 100% correct, is that they, these other teams are really locking in for their runs. And it feels like the Bulls are not doing that and are not, don't know how to do that, to your point. So, sorry, I just got to shout out Dinwiddie just hit a bomb 3 to beat the Nets. That was wild. Buzzer beater. That was crazy.
Beater.
We got
yeah.
Do we want to move on? We got a question in the chat.
One last question in the chat from Baskets. Be awesome. Make it make sense. Why is a half-court shot worth the same as a three-pointer? You know what? Make that make sense?
It's amazing.
Chris, you want to take that one? Because
you know what? That's a great question. Because
it is a great question.
Let's leave it up.
Classic Baskets. Be awesome question.
But I need to read it again. Why is a half-court shot worth the same points? That's the last time. There's been a lot of talk with implementing a 4-point line. That would be, I think, the same amount of distance than a 3-point line, because it is a lot farther. And there has been a big drop-off in people taking half-court shots in recent years because it hurts their 3-point percentage. I'm pretty sure Kevin Durant has only taken 3 official half-court shots in his career. I think it's all coming in the playoffs because he's very particular with his efficiency numbers. Yeah, so if it was worth 4, maybe I think in North Korea it's worth like 8.
Yeah,
so if we want to go that route, maybe King Jong.
I thought we weren't getting political tonight.
So are you saying it makes sense to keep it the same because you don't want?
That's a good question. What was I? I don't even know if I was.
Yeah,
you don't want.
No, I think it should be worth more. It doesn't make sense that it's not worth more.
So, but you're supposed to make it make sense.
You're supposed to make it make sense. So it makes sense that it's the same as a 3-pointer because you don't want to incentivize people dribbling the ball 3 seconds in the shot clock and heaving up a 3-pointer,
sure.
and that being the game back and forth. That's why it makes sense.
Thank you, Joey.
I think it also makes sense because I like it
Gotcha.
when
Gotcha, Chris.
3 points is the one possession.
Joey's been the voice of reason on tonight's
He's been
pod.
saving these, making
Man.
make senses, man.
Yeah.
Coming in the clutch.
He's making a lot of
Clicking.
sense.
It's clicking tonight,
Making
guys.
a lot of sense. He's
Got
got
the
the
Guinness.
whiskey's clicking.
The Irish
We might get
whiskey.
this. We might get this Pirtle on our first try tonight.
Let's
go.
go. He's
Yeah.
feeling confident. He's that'll be the heat
He's
check.
got- yeah.
The Pirtle's the heat check of the podcast. For it. Thank you for the question baskets. As always. All right. All right. Let's move quickly into the playoff picture. Gotta pull up the current playoff picture. Oh, sorry, my phone is locked.
What do we want to change week over week?
Well, so we're gonna do
any rise and falls kind of thing.
So we're gonna let you. Or so you know what? Let's go to last week's. The standings were Miami in the Eastern Conference. Miami number 1, Milwaukee number 2, Philly 3, Chicago 4, Boston 5, Cleveland 6, Toronto 7, Brooklyn 8, Charlotte 9, and Atlanta 10. In the Western Conference, it was Phoenix 1, Memphis 2, Golden State 3, Utah 4, Dallas 5, Denver 6, Minnesota 7, Clippers 8, Lakers 9, and New Orleans 10. So currently, the only shifts in the Eastern Conference is that Milwaukee has moved into the 2nd seed over Philly. So which changes the matchups because now currently Milwaukee would be getting the winner of Toronto and Brooklyn, which everybody feels like is going to be Brooklyn. Well, Kyrie might not be able to play in that game, so who knows? Versus the Sixers, who will now be getting Cleveland currently.
Yeah. Kyrie wouldn't get to play in Toronto.
He wouldn't get to play in Toronto, so that's hey. I mean,
That's
they
pretty
get 2
bad,
shots
yeah.
at it. They get 2 shots at it, but then theoretically they would have a home game for game 2, and he wouldn't be able to play in the home
Wouldn't be
game.
able to play.
So,
Oh,
they
man.
legit I mean, I still think that they would beat Charlotte or Atlanta, whoever, with just Durant, but it's not a guarantee. That's a
Yeah, I mean,
weird thing.
you're talking one Durant night off there, right? I mean,
You're talking playoff Trey, right?
Yeah, playoff Trey
Sure,
shows
oh
up.
man,
And then, the other difference was that for yesterday, Atlanta was above Charlotte, but it looks like Atlanta's back underneath. I think they might have lost that game tonight against Charlotte. So that difference in the Western Conference, everything looks to have remained the same for the most part. Yeah, the Western Conference standings are the same. So the playoff picture in the Western Conference looks the same. I feel like Golden State's about to make a run here and kind of fight for that 2nd seed with Memphis. And then, Dallas just winning that game, that might bump them up to the 4th seed above Utah. So that's certainly interesting. But as far as the back and forth goes, I don't see a lot of back and forth right now in the current standings. But Joey, if you would be so kind as to read us our power rankings from last week.
which conference would you like to start with?
Let's start with the Eastern Conference.
Eastern Conference. All right, I had Philly 1, Miami 2, Milwaukee 3, and Chicago 4. Chris had Philly, Milwaukee, Miami, and Boston. Titus had Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, and Boston.
Okay.
I think I probably have the biggest change in there. I think I would probably drop out my Bulls and swap in a little Celtics action.
That's fair. My rankings would adjust only slightly. I still have Milwaukee up top. I still have Miami 2. But I'm moving the Nets to number 3. Get out of here, Philly. You're done in my book.
Like it.
Absolutely done. And I will keep
Wow.
Boston in the 4th slot.
All right.
Yeah, no. It's got to be Milwaukee, Miami, Boston, Philly. Who's your 4th spot then, Titus?
Boston. would be
Brooklyn?
my 4th spot.
Boston, Milwaukee, Miami, Brooklyn,
Okay.
and Boston.
Brooklyn and Boston.
Brooklyn, Boston, yeah. I just don't. I don't know about Brooklyn enough yet. That's
If those guys are healthy, they're beating people. So.
Did they just lose to the Mavs?
that was the Dallas. But
Luka.
Luka
Dallas
Magic.
is the best defensive team in the West. They're
It's true.
actually
And they lost
when we do
without
the
Kyrie.
power rankings. They should be in the top 4 for sure.
It's true.
So, all right, Joey, read us our Western Conference power rankings from last week.
Yes. So I had Phoenix, Golden State, Memphis, and Dallas. Chris had Phoenix, Memphis, Dallas. Adam, Minnesota.
We'll add it in
That's
post.
that's the most anti.
We gotta be ready. Hey, look, man.
There we go.
There you go.
We gotta have them.
I hit the
Saw his
button
head
5 times. It
Saw his
just
head
didn't want to go.
Titus had Memphis, Phoenix, Golden State, and Denver. Denver is his 4 spot.
All right.
I think I'm going to leave mine untouched. I think I'm content with where I'm at. Phoenix, Golden State, Memphis, Dallas.
I think we'll have a slight movement in mine. I'm going to move Phoenix back to the top. As much as I love Memphis, I do. Phoenix has been rolling here lately, and I got to give them some credit. Phoenix back at number 1, Memphis at 2, Golden State at number 3, and then I keep Denver at number 4.
Okay, just swapping 1 and 2. Chris, what do you think?
I
I
got
got Phoenix,
step up.
Memphis, Dallas, Minnesota.
Phoenix, Memphis, Dallas, Minnesota. I got to put in Golden State. Clay put on a clinic
Yeah.
that other night.
That was so
38 against Milwaukee. I'm gonna stop disrespecting this team.
They shot the Bucks out of the gym that night.
So I got what? Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, Dallas. Basically just avoiding Utah. Like, even though Utah is beating the Bulls right now, I still expect the Bulls to pull this out.
Anybody have Utah in their top 4?
No.
No, right?
No.
Wow. Nobody likes
No,
Utah.
nobody likes Utah.
We all trust
Utah's
Dallas.
they're
We trust
done.
Denver over Utah right now.
Yeah, I just like Denver. I like Jokic, man. That guy's a freak.
Utah's got to rely on Mike Conley to figure it out and play better. He's
Yeah.
been off lately, and I don't trust 34-year-old Mike Conley. When you're over the age of 34, you're kind of done, right? Like,
Wow.
that's
Shots fired. I'm right here, Chris. Thank you.
it's
So Steph Curry.
Steph Curry. Me and Steph Curry, we got something in common. We're both ridiculously good 3-point shooters, and we're 34. So
Cool.
currently. All right. Our last segment tonight, we're gonna play Birdo again.
Yeah,
Portal.
That's
Portal.
Portal.
I like Porto.
All right,
Excuse me.
let me share my screen.
Yeah, let's get it.
Hopefully this
I'm
works.
so excited. Been waiting all day for this.
I know. We've all been waiting. Oh, I'm trying to remember how I did it last time. Share screen, window, Chrome tab. There it is. All right, Pirtle, we are going silhouette.
Yeah,
All right, we are going silhouette.
we got to have some handicap here.
Whoa, all right.
Ooh.
Dreads is a very
Kind of looks like IO.
oh, okay.
So I just guess IO because that'd be awesome if it was
IO,
Yes.
IO down. It could
IO.
also be,
Cole
be-
Anthony.
yeah. Looks
Let's
like
go.
IO with his hair down
Alex Caruso came out.
without the pineapple.
Oh my
Come
God!
on!
This is crazy. Joey with the heat check. What?
I'm so good at Pirtle.
That is ridiculous.
What just
I am
happened?
so good at Pirtle. I'm so good at Pirtle.
Wow.
Clip it. Stamp it. The lawn boss is back.
Wow. The heat check of all heat. That was a half quarter. That you know what? 4 points. We just awarded you 4
That should have
points.
been a 4.5
It does-
pointer.
It
It's a
doesn't make
five-pointer.
sense anymore.
It doesn't make sense anymore. Wow.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. Why is Joey so good at Birtle?
Right.
Oh man.
He's on fire. Yeah, because you got it last week. with
We got
Segundo,
El
or
Prince
is it
and Goon.
It's the
Alfred
drink.
Rangoon, Crab Rangoon
Oh,
last
that's
week.
amazing. Man.
Gotta be that drink.
What are you drinking?
That was ridiculous.
I'm
That Irish.
Apple juice?
I'm drinking Patty's Irish
He's
whiskey.
apple juice. Ooh.
Ah,
Oh, there it is.
Oh, St. Patrick's
The
Day, right?
Irish.
Patty.
Damn, I should have got a corned beef.
Big Daddy Kumquat coming in with the OMG.
OMG.
Yeah,
Oh
let him know.
God.
It's
That's why
ridiculous.
you watch Bulls games, so you can get Pirtle on the first try.
You know what?
right.
We got next time. We're just gonna clear out. We're like, you know what? We're gonna pass it to Joey and go, Joey. All right, hit it. Who is it?
Man.
That was wild. No, you know what? But that was a good guess. It was a very good, and it did look a lot like him.
Keep drinking what you're
What you
drinking. I
drinking?
hear you.
I'm a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bummed. I kind of wanted to try to think about it for
I know. I wanted to think
We
about
want
it.
to
but I
show
was
our
like,
true sicko. Our
no, that's true
sicko
sicko.
nature.
Like
But ooh.
that is some sicko stuff.
I might
from
buy an
our man
IO jersey
Joey.
when this is done.
I think you might need to.
I think it
now.
might be a sign.
That's a sign. That's an IO jersey. Well, another quick round of Pirtle for us, man. Holy crap.
yeah.
Well, it's been very fun. But I think that's about it. Unless you guys had anything else tonight. I think we're about good on time. So
I'm Pirtly good.
Boston
Totally awesome.
also has the best point differential in the East.
point.
Just
point
which is
differential.
a thing sometimes. Anyways,
No,
yeah,
that's
we're
actually
good.
very important. No, that's I got to look at the basketball reference, the point differentials, but yeah, that's a big deal. So
5.6. Miami's 4.7.
that's the best
Anyways,
in the Eastern Conference. Holy crap!
in the
What is the
East,
Eastern? What is
yeah.
the Western
That's an
Conference?
aggregate, right? Though
What?
not per game, right?
Yeah, that's aggregate.
That's aggregate.
Yeah. In the West,
So,
we
I
got
mean-
Phoenix at 8.1, Golden State at 6.6, Memphis at 5.3, so they're below. Utah's 6.2, so we got three
Yeah,
teams
Utah's
above
gotta be-
Boston. Utah, but Utah
Mm.
beats up on the bad teams, and
Yeah.
whatever.
Dude, nobody in the East is going to win the title.
Ooh,
Another bold
we can
claim.
say that for next week, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
You know, it's because Dallas has the same record as Philly, and Philly's 3-0. Yeah, so yeah, maybe the West is still the best conference by far. It's like,
That's
Well,
a good
it's-
point because
they're
the best team
top
could
heavy,
easily
yeah.
knock it out of the East because it could be just absolute bloodbath.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. Oh man,
they beat
it's
each
gonna
other
be-
up.
It's gonna be great.
Eastern Conference playoffs is going to be great, and then the Western Conference will win the final. But well, that is it for us tonight. Join us next week to talk more NBA basketball. See if Joey can keep the streak going. Follow us on
Ridiculous.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at the Box Out Boys. Slide into those DMs. Join us live Wednesdays at 8:30. Send us an email to theboxoutboys@gmail.com. And as always, like, subscribe, and review wherever you listen to this at now. We'd very much appreciate that. So for Chris, Joey, and Adam, I'm Titus. Until next time, Box out.